events are heating up, and it looks like this is the year. We have history debunked, telling us that Iran has been attacked by American Reaper drones, the Grim Reaper. Remember King Charles, the coronation. Remember Fauci, his name means sickle, Reaper. And he has also released a video saying that the Epstein files have been released. This is all by design. This is all controlled. They control all sides. They believe in duality and synthesis. And so they are the good guys and they are the bad guys. And out of this they want to create a synthesis which is man's illumination in the new age. And so we're going to the end of this age and the start of a new age. And that is why all these people are promoting new age beliefs, truthers, and especially flat earthers, the biggest shill movement ever created. And if you are a so-called truther who goes against the flat earth, you will get huge amounts of trolls and bots. It is the biggest psyop truth the truth movement has ever promoted. You have people like Concerned Citizen from Twitter who has over 1 million subscribers. You have Eric Dubay who's sold over 1 million books. Now I'll talk about that a bit later. Now let's talk about events and IPEC Go 2, because it looks like this is the year. We have here the yin and yang, which is a duality synthesis symbol. And yin and yang can be described as the sun and the moon in synthesis. Remember, when you have an eclipse, remember we had the American eclipse, which was a Pythagorean triangle, and then we have this eclipse in Spain in August. And remember that eclipses are a synthesis of the two into the one. Okay? So what they're trying to say is that they seem to believe that a higher intelligence has been behind the ascent of man and the creation of Earth. And it has given man this knowledge of illumination through man's pineal gland. And this is why they do these pineal gland rituals. And you had the passing of Third Eye Atlas, which I believe was a man-made object. Man's illumination. So we're going to have the start of the events and then the illumination. Like you see in the film IPEC Go 2 with the Christ consciousness figure. He is man. Man's enlightenment is achieved, and then you have the end of the pyramid, the crashing of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid represents man, and the capstone represents man's pineal gland. Okay? So we had the yin and yang symbol here. Now, on January the 3rd, you had the Earth closest to the Sun, perihelion, and you had the Moon closest to the Earth on 3-3, a 3-3 day, 33 Freemasonry. The Sun and the Moon, yin and yang. Here we have the Super Bowl. So it seems some kind of sharp thing here. This looks like it's March. We have barbed wire. We have guy with moustache doing the Trump sign. Trump is the new guy with moustache. He will invade Greenland. Now it looks like there's going to be some big event, which is a natural disaster, which would actually be man-made. And I think it is La Palma. And it looks like Trump will invade Greenland on the lunar eclipse, which will be March 3rd, 33 of Freemasonry. You will have a full blood moon. Now, so here we have Trump, who is guy with moustache. Now Trump is also Julius Caesar. Remember, the first man to get the William Shakespeare was called William Shakespeare. The Tsar, Nadim Zahawi from Stratford-upon-Avon. You shake it before you spear it. Shakespeare had a hyphen, SS, duality. And out of these events they want to create a synthesis. And Shakespeare is based on the spear of Athena, who creates wisdom. And Britannia, where they created the Shakespeare, the William Shakespeare, is Athena. And it is actually the goddess Isis. The goddess who is a synthesis of the two into the one. And Great Britain and Britannia is Isis. This is why you have the Thames called Isis. And she represents also Europa, and Europe is the bull. Okay, she is the goddess. And you'll notice how all these events are happening from the United Kingdom and the Grand Lodge. And this is all created by Freemasonry and that country in the Middle East. They run the truth movement. If we go by Albert Pike's letter, 3 World Wars, social cataclysm is William Shakespeare. The Marxist is the World Economic Forum. You're going to have a war between that country in the Middle East, political Z, and Islam. And then you have the end of political Z. You don't have the end of Z though. Okay? And then you have man's illumination, the Luciferian doctrine, which will be shown in clear light, which is already being promoted by truthers and flat earthers. And then you have the Christian apocalyptic types. Okay? They are there to buy you into this end times scenario. It is not the end time. It is the end of this time and the rebirth of a new time. So be careful what you actually believe. And so here she rolls the apple, and underneath the apple it is La Palma, and it is this channel who spotted it, okay? Underneath the apple is La Palma. Underneath the apple is La Palma. Now there's loads of accounts which are trolling this channel, making videos, stealing all my material. Okay? you come to Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll is part of the ring, the Epstein ring, which will be revealed. You have the crown coin, which is the death of Charles. We still have not had Corona Borealis. William is a Masonic messianic figure. This event should happen just before he is king. So we have the apple. It splits into, the duality splits into, and then you have a rebirth as a synthesis. An illumination. Your third eye opens up new life. And they're worried. The political system is worried because people have woken up. You have La Palma. You have what looks like the end of America on the anniversary of America. Trump will invade Greenland. You have the tsunami here. You have the destruction of the two, and then we're building a new age. So remember, you had the Twin Towers and then you have the Lone Tower. And you had the Statue of Liberty, which is Isis, in front of the Twin Towers. William's mother, Diana, all her memorials are dedicated to Isis. And in the Ponte Alma tunnel, the flame is directly moulded from the Statue of Liberty, which is Isis. And her family, the Spencer family, are the same family as the Washingtons. And the Washington Memorial is a huge obelisk of Osiris and Isis and the birth of the new age, the sun. And America, it seems like we are going to get a new America. America will be sacrificed. And after this event, America will go to war with China. And China will invade Taiwan. We have this Starmer behaving like Neville Chamberlain, bowing down to Trump, bowing down to China. And after this all erupts, you'll have Boris Johnson, and he will be back. Boris Johnson, the Churchill factor. And so we have Bin Laden on Greenland. I've showed you the exact map. We have the fall of democracy in America. So the Statue of Liberty. The flame falls, and we have Bin Laden. Now Bin Laden, his death was announced on May Day. Guy with moustache, death announced on May Day. May Day 1776 was the creation of the Bavarian Illuminati. And the ship that landed the pilgrims to America was called the Mayflower. And it anchored on 11/11 on Cape Cod, CC 33. I've shown how they always use the duality code. It is very easy to spot. Much easier to spot than gematria, which confuses people. They love the double letter and the double number, like 33, okay? So, it looks like Greenland will be invaded, which has the same flag as Poland, and it actually has a yin and yang symbol on the flag. All these events are controlled. You have what looks like the eclipse, blood moon eclipse, full moon. And then we have the awakening, we have the rebirth, the old crone, which is the goddess, becomes fertile and gives birth to the new age, the Christ consciousness, and the great work is achieved. And there is a new covenant with this God, as man's has been awoken in this new age. And this will probably lead to some form of transhumanism, because they are funding that heavily. And they're preparing all these events for this new age. And they are using the duality. They are behind everything. They are behind the truth movement. They are behind the flat earth movement. The flat earth is actually your pineal gland. So here is the yin and yang symbol. So that's what we had. Let's talk about David Weiss, who's a prominent flat earther. Has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subs. Is on Professor Dave's channel with this shill, Sean Atwood, who's a Freemason. Dasom. Okay? Trust me, you cannot gain any audience on YouTube. I was threatened off the platform because I would not go along with Flat Earth. Now, you have lots of truther channels and they will promote your video. The reason they do this is to get your trust, and they ask you to appear on their shows. It is to get your details, to know what you're about, and so they keep an eye on you. Okay, that's what it's about. There is no truth movement. You cannot be an independent truther. I'm telling you the truth. Everything is controlled. There is no freedom movement. The freedom movement is a controlled movement. They control all sides. They are looking for the synthesis of the duality. So you have David Weiss, who's linked to Dasom, Freemason, okay, Flat Earth. Now, Flat Earth has been going down in popularity. This is because you can see that the Earth is not flat from a plane. Now, of course, David Weiss and Eric Dubay, with his one-eye symbolism, promoting Gnostic ideas, and Dubay has sold over 1 million books, have also done a dual podcast. Now, the Flat Earth is actually your pineal gland. Every creator of the Flat Earth maps was a Freemason. And the creators of the map were Freemasons. The people who published the map were Freemasons, because in America at that time, the map producers were Freemasons. And if you read about the Gleason map, it was actually a spiritual map, and it represents the Great Pyramid. And what the Freemasons actually believe is that we live in a flat dimension, not that the Earth is actually flat, that we live in an illusory flat dimension, and through the pineal gland we could access other dimensions through the pineal gland. That is what it is really about. And so that is the Gnostic idea that they are promoting. The Freemasons come from the Hermetic Gnostic traditions. And so we have Dubé doing the one-eye symbolism, who dresses up as a woman, who, all these people are anti the traditional Bible. So they want to create this kind of new idea of religion. As I said, the new covenant, as you see in the film, I Pick Up 2, which was created on the anniversary of Freemasonry, the 24th of June, by a Freemason, whose initials are LL. And David Weiss and Eric Dubé on the same show. And remember that Eric Dubé is supposed to support Guy with Moustache. Okay? Now it turns out that David Weiss is actually beep, and he is a multi-millionaire living in California. David Weiss is a beep, and he was interviewed on this channel, which promotes that country in the Middle East. Now what's important is that David Weiss was on UK Column.
I'm hearing.
Weiss was on UK Column, showing you that UK Column is a shill channel. And so all the people on UK Column are all shills. And the Flat Earth debate, as you see here, with all these four, is just the duality dialectic of the Freemasons and of that country in the Middle East. They take up opposite positions, okay? They don't care. It is like a football game binding to the two sides. They control all the sides. Okay? They bind you into a duality argument. And they use this to distract you and to get you to buy in to what actually they want. And the Flat Earth movement is connected to this idea that we live in a flat dimension. And it will promote this Luciferian agenda of man's illumination and transhumanism. That the only way to escape this dimension will be through transhumanism. Let's talk about the next catastrophe, because we had the doomsday clock this week. We had Trump with the penguin. We have Third Eye Atlas. Now, there is going to be a comet called Comet R3, which might be visible in April the 27th. Remember, when Julius Caesar died, there was Caesar's comet. So it is possible that we can have the death of Trump, the death of Charles, the tsunami, La Palma, the crash of the economy, this next so-called pandemic. If we look at the pig here, you will notice that this nipper, which they have been promoting, and all the Truth or Shield channels have been promoting, look, it is also the name of a palm. Palm, Temple of Solomon. Nova Festival. Al-Aqsa Flood. Al-Aqsa is palm tree. The Temple of Solomon was decorated with palm trees. The palm tree is the resurrected phoenix. It has a spear in the middle, which creates new life. You shake the dates with a spear. And Shakespeare, the palm. You always see the palm symbolism, always in these stories. Like on the Oasis album cover. You have the ducks. This is the death of Charles. Charles is about to die any time now. Doomsday clock, La Palma. Now this nipper comes from a bat, but it's spread to a pig, and then it's spread to a human. You have these coronal mass ejections, aurora. You have the crown bug. You have the nuclear events. You have the monkey masks. The cat looks like a monkey. We also have the monkey magic. So we have the doomsday clock. We have the penguin with Trump. We're closer to the end. The next catastrophe and how to survive it. 7 pictures of Freemasonry. The nipper palm. So let's look at The Economist magazine, 2017. We have Trump sat on top of Greenland. We have the alignments. We have the last alignment of the three of Freemasonry, which is the synthesis, the Trinity, on the 28th of February. Then we have the lunar blood moon eclipse on March the 3rd, 33rd of Freemasonry. I think he'll invade Greenland then. But could there be a bigger event, which is La Palma, which I believe will be man-made? You have the Tower card. We have the theses here. We have the reconciliation between Charles and Pope Leo. First